Today on Voyager Rat's RC Tips, we're going to talk about metal spools, or ring and pinion if you prefer. These axle, the Fcx18 or 24, used to come with with plastic spools, or plastic ring and pinion gear if you prefer. And the Max Smasher or Smasher comes with metal differential, so that's the differential action, and there is the spool action, so both wheel work together. There have been a couple of aftermarket options. I know that Trail used to still make some good gears, but they're pretty expensive. So the first thing I did was buy these from AliExpress. I'm gonna remove them. And it was a hit and miss, because on this rig still runs the AliExpress metal spools, metal ring and pinion, and works flawlessly with some adjustment. Then Endura came in the business and machined these very nice, like helicoidal gears. So these are overdrive, and they're different way to install them. They're different than the plastic ones, because the plastic one you had to screw on. We're gonna do it together. So there's a rear one. So easiest way to access it: remove both portals with just one screw on each side, and while you're at it of rebuilding your axle, just check that your portals are working good, and you can take the time to remove the 4 bolts and put a little dab of grease. What I use is synthetic grease made by Super Lube. It works, it doesn't attack nylon, so it can work obviously on metal gears, but even if you have nylon gears or partial nylon gears, like in some transmission, you can use this grease. I never had any problem, even restoring old RCs. So that being said, we're going to remove the other side of the portal. Can still check if it runs smooth. Then we're gonna remove the cover with these 4 screws. So there it is. So we have the plastic spool, and to remove this gear, it was to remove the center screw. That's the way to do it. Just pull on it. Can keep the bearing there, and since the Endura comes with its own bearing, I'm gonna remove it. So you can hold it flat, push it with your screwdriver or a flat screwdriver, put it in, should fit good and snug. Then remember that you need to remove those bearings, put it on the Endura spool. Usually the Endura machining is very, very good, and you can see that I always like to put the cap back on before putting some grease. put all 4 bolts to have the right cover adjustment, tension if you prefer, to see if they work well. And since this gear doesn't come apart like the plastic one, you will have to remove your drive shaft end. So you need a small Phillips head screwdriver and put it back on and see if it works great. So this one seems to turn, but they seem to be a little bit hard. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to push a little more on that center gear. Sometimes the machining on these is usually good, but sometimes it needs to run a bit before it gets smooth. Some time to push a little. It seems to be right where it should be. And now FMS released their metal gears. So as you can see in my previous video, this V2 with the driver came with metal gears. They're not helix gear like these, but still they're metal now. So when the cover is off, it seems pretty good, but the overdrive seems a little rough. So maybe if I screw it a little less, and we'll see how it goes. Will it run smoother? I put standard, not overdrive, but standard Injora in, I'm going to show it to you, in another project. This project, so this one is 4-wheel steer with the little outrunner motor, but this one was originally for a CR18P Hobby Plus. So these have longer shafts, so I shim it with, oh, that's not good. Just caught my camera mount. So I shim it with stainless steel nuts, and I put the correct pinion on it. And this one runs a little bit higher in kV. It's 3,450 kV. And these both run Injora standard metal gears, and they run very, very good. And they have not failed even with the added torque that these tracks require. So that being said, let's see how it performs. Yeah. And if I tighten it a little bit more, will it still run good, or it will bind? No, that's better. So probably my gear wasn't pushed far enough. And with Injora, there's virtually no play. But if you still have some of these AliExpress gears, it's like I said, it's a hit and miss. Sometimes you get good machining, sometimes they're awful. These look nice, but sometimes you had a little more, too much more play like that. So what you need I'm gonna do it with you also, is 4 by 6 by 0.1 millimeters shims. I'm gonna remove the Injora in this one. That works very well, just to show you what to expect with the cheap AliExpress one. Like I said, I ordered a few. Some were total junk. The one in my gray LC80 works amazing. Never skipped a beat ever since with that cheap AliExpress metal transmission. So I'm gonna remove it. Press hard to remove. Yeah, sometimes it's very hard. I'm gonna do it off camera because I don't want to perforate my coroplast. So there, I just pushed like that on my bench. I'm gonna remove it. Then I'm gonna salvage the same bearings we used. Sometimes they're hard to remove. You maybe need an X-Acto or a little blade too, but I think I'm gonna be able to manage it. There we go. Okay, so this one was a little bit longer to tuned, so it was putting the gear there, putting both bearings, put it in here, put the cover back on, and these look pretty good, so they should mesh okay, but sometimes the ridge on the gear was too far. So as you saw with the Injoras, there was no play, and these have a lot of play. So they didn't work as good. So what you had to do, what I did, and it fixed the problem on the one that were machined, the gear side was machined properly. Some had a lot of burrs and were not that nice. I threw them away. I think it was like $5 Canadian ship, so it was a chance to take. So what you had to do, remove it, keep the bearing there, take some shims. I'm gonna put some there. There we go. Maybe there was a lot of play, so I'm gonna start with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it back in. Try not to lose the shims. So now the pinion gear sits higher. So I'm gonna put the ring gear back. Screw it. There. See, there's practically no play. Just a little bit, and it should be like that. Not too tight. And with they do not run for now as smooth as the Injoras because of the quality of the machining, but with some gear they do not bind, so they're just noisy. But with some grease and over time they will run a little bit smoother. So that's the cheapest option. Good option is Injora, and I ordered some FMS original gears, and the original gears from FMS come with that type of pinion gear, and you have to keep that little piece of shaft to put in there. So I'm going to see which one are more durable, and I hope you enjoy these little shim tips. I hope it helps you, and happy RCing, everyone.